Oh shoot. Come on. Hey consumers, what's up? It's Teeth. It has been a while. I think my hair is longer than it was last time we spoke. You see, I've actually been in a bit of a downturn. Could you believe it? One of my main things I've been trying to lean towards with my work lately is trying to build up some consistency to my work. Clearly a big issue. Because, there's these artists that will fill out sketchbooks in a day. They chew through artists like they're or they chew through artists. These artists chew through sketchbooks like they're eating them. And so I'm trying to figure out how do they do that sort of thing. Now, who would I be the teeth collector if I wasn't going to do it by siphoning out the knowledge from one of my close homies? So we're going to interview him. At the time of this recording, it's September. But at the time of this original recording, when this was supposed to happen, it's July. And if you know anything about July, it's a very special time for artists. It's Art Fight season. What is Art Fight? Well. Let's not dig into it so deep yet. All you need to know is Art Fight is coming. And you better be prepared. So if I was going to handle Art Fight, the best way to go about doing this sort of thing is to learn from one of the experts. And luckily, I'm in touch with the Art Fight expert, the Art Fight professional Olympic champion of art fight experts. AJ. Space Mermaid in the flesh. AJ.
So, I'm here with one of the homies, AJ, who goes by Space Mermaid, and I am speaking with you today because you are like the art fight champion. So anything there is to be known about art fight, you're the person to be asking for it, right?
Oh, thank you.
Starting off, if you'd like to introduce yourself, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Hey, I'm AJ slash SpaceMermaid001. I am a freelance artist slash character designer. I like to do digital paintings of a plethora of things, but mainly fantasy related, like Dungeons and Dragons. So, yeah, that's me.
Like, you're the freaking art machine.
Thank you. Art is all I have sometimes, so it really helps me feel better.
Now, let's dig a little deeper. For all the fans at home that might not be familiar, what even is Art Fight?
As me, someone who's only participated in Art Fight a couple times, I've only done like a few attacks and stuff like that. Like, briefly, what is Art Fight?
Art Fight is like an art trading game that happens every year in July. There's two teams, and you get chosen to be on one of those two teams, and then people draw each other's characters, and it's really fun. And I also think it's a great way to network with people, and also have an excuse for people to see fan art of your characters.
And that's basically it. It gets a lot more complicated than that. There's this point system. There's this stuff with teams, right? Teams is actually one of the surface level deals. There's this point system. Uh, okay, maybe it's not too complicated, but people will make up rules and stuff like that. But the gist, generally, with Art Fight is you just make art with other for artists. But the general gist with Art Fight is you just make art for other artists. Reach out through the page's randomizer, search, or whatever, get invested, and draw them fan art. It's a great way to meet other artists that are at your similar skill level, or to learn or build connections, and to recognize that we're all sort of on this journey together. If you're the kind of person that's like, I'm an artist, but I'm dealing with this thing that no one has ever dealt with before, if you go to Art Fight, you can easily find at least 200,000 people that are also dealing with that exact thing.
But also, I am a bit competitive.
Yeah! Competitive would be putting it lightly.
For a champion like AJ, Art Fight is no small matter. And so they've got this very high specific goal in mind that I could never dream of achieving.
I have 91 art fights in total from the past 4 years, 5 years. And I wanted to reach 100.
I'm at like 1. And what comes after... You're at 91, right? What comes after you hit 100?
I take a break.
You quit. You stop. Art
I
fight
want
is
it.
done.
I want
Art
that little
fight is
achievement
over.
you get when you reach a certain number of art fights.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
For me, someone who procrastinates a fair bit, we're gonna have to push for something a lot simpler. Baby steps, of course. My main goal for this art fight is to do an art fight attack for AJ. You see, one of the cool things about fan art or gift art or whatever you want to call it is that, especially with something like art fight where you're not always 100% in control of what you're drawing, it's a great way to get uncomfortable and do something that's a little bit unfamiliar. We're talking about kobolds, we're talking about aliens, demons, right? The whole 9 yards. So my options are basically kobold, goblin that I've drawn before, so that's not really an option anymore, or a cat. And I am very allergic to cats, so we're gonna do the cat.
So our goal with this challenge, right, to celebrate Art Fight, 21 days late, potentially even later if Art Fight already ends, is we're gonna Art Fight attack each other. Okay, so your preference for the three would be either Rook, Skit, or Skooma.
Indeed.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to choose because I want mine to be a surprise. Okay, and we'll have drawing challenge. We have 1 week.
It ends on the 31st.
If I don't give up, how many days is that? 21st. Oh, that's actually a week and a half.
Let's make sure we have a deadline.
This is going to be in the video under foreshadowing me posting on the 31st.
Are you recording all this, by the way?
I am. Oh yeah, this is content right here. We can go through some of your characters, especially because this will be kind of related for Art Fight. Do you? Let's see. Are there any in particular that like stand out that you want to talk about briefly?
Oh, yay. Yes, I do. There's 3 at the moment. There's my first ever D&D character, Rock. I've drawn a couple of iterations of him in the past. I just love him. He's a goblin alchemist, and he's a goblin, and he's not the nicest. A bit of a alcoholic, if you might say.
Well, it definitely looks like he's been through a bit.
The way he acts, it's very pirate-esque. He's a drunkard, he's a goblin. Whenever I play him, he's kind of an asshole, which I'm not an asshole, I like to think. So it's really funny playing as him.
You feel like it's hard for you to like roleplay as a character that's very different from your personality?
No, because he has such distinguishing traits. I feel like it's just a matter of like improvisation and roleplay. But my character will act a bit selfish sometimes because of his actions, but I haven't gone so far into the role of entire assholiness.
You don't want to jeopardize your whole team?
Yeah, exactly. I like worked on his backstory a lot, and he's just a character that I deeply appreciate and love because I draw him in my sketchbook whenever I had like classes and other stuff, and he's just really fun to play as, and everyone laughs at me whenever I play as him, so that's fun as well.
Yeah.
So here, the next one is from, this isn't D&D per se, it's based off of D&D. His name's Skits, he's a kobold.
I like his tongue, how it's like bright yellow.
I love him very much. He used to be a D&D character. Skit is a sorcerer. I like Skit because he's really skittish, but he's also really nice. He loves giving out flowers. He loves being friends with everybody, but he's also really skittish, as mentioned before. That's how he got the name.
I like him a lot.
The last character I would like to talk about is Skooma. She's a black-footed tabaxi, and she is very, I was like, I have to name the most annoying bard cat of all time, Skooma. Right now, she's one of the most complex characters I've ever, like, played. I tied her backstory to, like, I read it.
Hold on a second, your signal's cutting out.
Cool!
Oh, hello?
That was it.
Signal was, like, getting funky.
Did you hear what I said?
No, if you want to, like, trace back over that last bit.
I said I'm not a furry, and that's it.
I don't know! I think it's okay for us to, like, moderately be furries. Like
There's
that.
a lot of good artists.
Yeah, I feel like it would be bad to, like, be like, oh, I hate furries or whatever, beyond, like, the joke, because it's like, there's a lot of good artists that do stuff like that.
Yeah, I really appreciate them, and the art they do for the art community.
I like how this character is like basically just like the personality of a cat, just mischievous and everything.
Now, fortunately for you, dear viewer, I've collected hours, literal hours of conversation of Space Mermaid talking about their process. With this, there's a gold mine of information we could be learning from. Yoink. I think we're going to have a problem. And now you're caught up as to why it's been 2 months. Instead of talking about a bunch of boring, useless art stuff like art's process, let's learn a little bit more about what inspires AJ to do the work that they do. For my art fight attack to AJ, I've decided to do their character Skooma. Skooma is a pretty darn cool character, mainly because in her design she starts out as this very like almost princessy bard, but then she's then through the story turned into like this thief ninja type character, whatever, rogue. It's super cool. You see, one of the cool things about D&D is that either through the unpredictable story of the DM or just really thinking about characters and wanting to develop them, you've essentially taken these characters and thrown them into these variables of development that are totally unexpected and might change the character in a way that you couldn't necessarily design by yourself. Now, I don't know a lot about Skooma because I'm not actually a part of this D&D game, but I see masks and I think, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's break it.
Any more specifics into like the kind of art you like to make?
I like making digital paintings and character designs. Particularly like ones that show off a character and maybe their emotions or something. And I just love doing character designs, like character reference sheets and the concepts of characters, because I love, I don't know, the process of designing a character is really intriguing to me. And also I get to research like a bunch of different, like a couple years ago I had some Japanese characters and I wanted to draw them like getting married. And so I spent 2 days on kimonos and wedding kimonos, and that took a good chunk of my life for 3 days. Ideas come really easily to me. And then I'm like, I can't do this. I have too many characters. Too
If you had
many.
like a estimate, how many characters would you say you had?
Over 100.
Are you for real? That's crazy.
Yes. I have a lot of ideas.
Do you do any other like creative outlet type things like writing or?
I write a lot of backstory. I write I have, well, you write backstories for characters, obviously. So
Right.
for D&D, so I do that, and but usually I don't share them with anybody other than the people that, other than my DM.
Right.
I also have like, and one day I want to make like a book.
Oh, so like a full-on story?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have so much art in my brain for my
Right.
passion project that I'm like, do I want to do Art Fight or do I want to work on my passion project?
Yeah, it's insane that you're literally juggling both D&D stuff and art fight at the same time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting and crying because I can't make character thumbnails.
Like, you don't have the motivation?
My brain just like fries when it comes to the design. I don't know, I get a lot of resistance. Hold on. We're going to get into the wire. We'll put a note there.
Put a pin in it.
Now let's talk about AJ's attack to me. I love it. They've decided to take on one of my characters, Pandora. Originally based off of the Greek myth, my story with Pandora is sort of like, what if after all that, cursing the entirety of humanity ever, she was resurrected in like this alternate reality with pirates and stuff like that. She's got some skeleton bits on her. Overall, all you really need to know now is she's like a goth ghost pirate. The Holy Trinity. This art fight attack is really, really cool. AJ is an incredible painter, and you can tell even just sort of this render and even individually doing all those different hair strands that a lot of work was put into this thing. This art fight attack is super awesome, and I'm way grateful for it. This is really, really cool. But you see, do you think that the Teeth Collector is just gonna do a normal interview talking about inspirations and characters and D&D, right? I like to live my life within the wire. You see, AJ's a very creative person, and there's a lot going on in there for an art fight Olympian. Let's subtly, sneakily, and most certainly without consent, try to figure out what's really going on inside that brain.
Okay,
And
now
then,
to go into the meat of it. I want to sort of dig into your brain a little bit, see what's inside the mind of AJ. So I guess just for viewers, our viewers at home who are not like homies with you, right? And don't know the speed and the skill that you've accumulated. How how long have you been drawing? Like for how many years?
I've drawn all my life. I really started doing stuff in high school, and after I got a tablet, I started mainly doing digital paintings.
What motivates you to like draw?
One of the first things that ever motivated me was Dragon Age Origins. It's in like a medieval kind of D&D inspired setting with its own like world. I'm really inspired by anything kind of medieval-esque, and I just love magic and the fact that you can be any like characters in medieval time in this medieval fantasy more or less. And it's a way to escape from the problems that I have in my own world and explore stories that I've never even thought of before. Also, I get to draw pretty ladies in dresses. I like thinking about stories of characters. That's why I have so many characters originally in Art Fight. And
Right.
if you go to my page, because I like creating stories and kind of romanticizing them a little bit because I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic in some regards. So I make a lot of characters, and sometimes those characters like to kiss.
That's the drive.
Yeah.
What do you do if you, let's say you have to do a drawing, whether it's like a commission or something, or just like something that you know you want to do, but the process itself is like tedious or boring or whatever. Like, what do you do when you have to draw something you're not wanting to or you're not used to, or it's like out of your comfort zone?
That is a good question. So this is an example of that. I did this for a contest. I did this.
Right, the contest that I told you about and then proceeded to not do. Classic.
You had a good sketch.
Well, I mean, that's a good example of that too, even in that. Like, I wasn't feeling it, and
Motivated.
yeah, it wasn't turning out how I wanted, so, like, I would rather have just kind of called it there and spent my time doing something different. But, like,
That's
let's
fair.
say, because you're not a quitter like I am, like, how do you pull
Yeah.
through?
Well, I like to think about some stuff. Like, even though I'm having a trouble time with this painting, at least it's practice. Or like, if it's a commission, the money.
Money's great.
So it's a matter of motivation of money and or learning that even though I might not get in or I might have a hard time with this, at least I practiced so in the future I could draw better.
So it seems like the solution is basically, like, reframing your idea of it in a way to, like, understand the advantages or whatever it has to you. And then
Yeah,
if it is something that you're uncomfortable with, like pulling from resources or references or doing whatever you can to try and like break it down and make it less difficult. Uh do you have any advice for like art students or art peers that you feel like is like something you've learned that you think could really help others?
it's okay to fail. Be ready, be prepared to fail. Like my friend, I was trying to help her do some painting stuff today, and she kept trying to make a circle over and over and over again. But the problem with that was the circle was already good, and it's a construction line. You need it to be perfect. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for your art not to be perfect. I think you should enjoy your art more than wanting it to be perfect. And if you're not enjoying your art because you're stressing out about it being perfect, then you need to reevaluate yourself.
True.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
was very good advice.
Thank you.
Well, that was unexpected. I think AJ just gave me the exact thing I needed to hear. You see, especially when you're learning as a student artist or art fighter, or peer or whatever, right? Failing is a big part of the process. And you have to sort of accept that to some degree, whether it's through not completing projects or through your work not turning out how you want it to, failing is a large part of the process. Yeah, you won't fail if you don't do it, but you won't succeed either. So maybe things won't turn out as well as you want to. And maybe you'll have to choose your own battles on what's worth that time and effort. But the biggest key to trying and failing and eventually succeeding is to do that process in general, is to be able to fail in order to that you can eventually succeed. I guess. I don't know. Either way, all that being said, it's a lot easier said than done. So if we're going to get anything out of this and survive our impending doom, we're just going to have to do. Professional interviewer, teeth collector. This was the first real interview I'd actually done. And outside of losing hours of footage, I overall am pretty happy with the turnout if this thing ever actually gets published. Hey, please check out Space Mermaid's work. They're a very, very good painter, and they're definitely worth checking out and supporting and doing all sort of these things, especially if you like D&D based art. They are currently accepting commissions. You should buy a commission from them. You will buy a commission from them. Anyways, I can't say this enough, especially as rocky and unplanned as a lot of this video was. Thank you so much, AJ, for taking part in this interview and giving me that wisdom. Like I said, a lot of this wasn't necessarily planned, and some of the things I heard were like really, really valuable. Please check out their work, follow. Come on, I got this interview. Come on. You're going to watch an interview like this and you're not going to follow. If you would like to support another artist in desperate need, I'll be here, hopefully making YouTube videos. If you like this sort of thing, or if you want to see the other things that I'm going to do, I'll be here. You could like and subscribe. That would be pretty cool. I'll know if you don't subscribe. You specifically. I need to make rent this month. Please.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that you felt like you would wanted to include for the video? Because that was basically everything for me on my end.
I'm not a furry!
We don't know that. It can't
I'm
be
not!
proven. It's okay to be a furry. We accept you.